Welcome back to the channel, everybody, and today I'm going to be showing you how to get exactly what you see on your screen, the ability to play in the Nike practice facility, an actual game, not practice, but the actual game. As you can see, you have UAB and FCS here, and they're going to go at it, and this is both for Nike and for any other stadium that you want to play in. It will require a couple things, which I'll get to later. This example will be using the practice facility, the indoor practice facility, because I really like that one. And you will also be able to switch fields. For example, you have the Nike outdoor field here in the generic stadium. Now what I do today, I do on my PlayStation, but it also works for Xbox. However, the Xbox process requires Modio and all that, so that will be a little bit different, but once I get to the core of it, it will be exactly the same. Now for those things that you're going to need the EADB editor, that's EA database editor. You're going to need the Xanathal's Dynasty config and the Xanathal's roster config. I will be doing this on the roster config, but the Dynasty config works just fine. You're going to need brute force save data, if I didn't mention that already. That one is specifically for PlayStation. And you're also going to need something to unzip folders, and I have pzip. It works just fine, and I'll leave links to all of these in the description below. Another important thing to know if you are a first-time user in transferring data between a USB and the PlayStation, you need to have it formatted properly to FAT32. I used a GUI format here, otherwise it won't work, and I will also leave a link to that in the description. Once you have everything downloaded and installed, you're going to want to open brute force, and you're going to want to wait until this cheats repository thing pops up, and you're just going to ignore that and you're going to exit off of it. If this is your first time using brute force, then it will ask you to choose a param.sfo file. Then you go to the file folder of the actual information from the PlayStation, and you open that and you find param, not the .pfd, but just the regular param. You select that, enter a name, and you should get to this screen right here. Now you're going to go to the top bar of text where it has the arrow down on the right, and you're going to go just to the right of that to the ellipses. You're going to click on that, and you want to navigate to the folder that you actually want to use, and then you click on that. This is the only safe way that I know of doing this. After you choose your folder, the screen is going to look like this again. Don't worry if it looks exactly the same as it was before. You're still following the process, and just hang in there. Now you're going to want to click on the folder you selected in question right there at the top, so that it's highlighted in blue. You'll notice that a lot more blue text appears. Now move your cursor down to decrypt pfd, click on it, and then hit decrypt all files. After that, it's going to ask you if you want to decrypt all files. You say yes, and then you can minimize brute force from there. Now go to your Dynasty or roster file from before, and you're going to want to find the user data. You'll notice that at the bottom it says it's been decrypted, but you're going to want to find the user data. You're going to rename the user data to .mc02. It doesn't matter if it's caps, I just did that here. If you're editing a Dynasty file and you're going to be using the Dynasty configuration, you do not need to change the name to .mc02. After that, you can minimize your file folder, and you're going to want to go back and finally open up the EADB editor. It should look blank completely at first. You go to File and then Load Config, you have to load the config before you actually open the file. So hit load config. Navigate to the configuration that you want to use, either the dynasty config or the roster config. I'm doing the roster config. However, the dynasty config does have advantages that I will explain later. This should bring up what looks like a blank Excel spreadsheet. Don't worry, go to File and then hit Open. Go to the file folder that you want to edit. For the roster config, you're going to want to choose the .mc02 file that's right there. If you're using the dynasty config, go down to the bottom right. Instead of MC02, search for all files and then click the user data file. After some loading, it should bring up a screen that looks like this. It'll be different for the dynasty config and also for the dynasty config. It will take a bit longer to load and it might say that it's not responding, just wait it out. Now click on the Teams tab, it's second farthest to the left, and find the team that you want. Now scroll over to the right, it'll be just past halfway to the right until you find Stadium ID, as you see highlighted by my cursor up there at the top. Today I will be changing UMass's stadium, so I have selected them here. Double click the stadium that it has listed for your team and it should show a list like this. Find the stadium that you want to change it to. That could be the Nike practice facility. In this case, it's going to be the indoor practice facility, which I have renamed to the McLean Dome. And you're going to want to select, just whichever one that you want to use. Now, if that's all you wanted to do, you only wanted to change the stadium for your team to play in, you are done. You can save. I'll show you how to save and get this all ready to put onto the PlayStation later in the video. But if you want to have the actual field, let's say that you wanted the Nike practice facility dome, but you didn't want the black field, you're going to have to do some data editing. Same with getting the UMass field on the indoor practice field, which I am about to do. However, the footage that I recorded from that game in the beginning was before I did any of this, so that is not apparent in the video. To put a different field into a stadium outside of its original one, as you saw with my black Nike field on the Pro Style generic stadium in the beginning, you're going to need to change 4 things. You're going to need to change the FLID or FLID. You're going to have to change the STDR, the STYP, and the SUID. Now, to make things easier, you can go to the stadium which you want to make your new stadium, go all the way to the left and change the city to whatever city you want, the same city, presumably, as the one of the stadium in real life for the team that you're changing it. And after that, you're going to sort by city. That should bring both of the stadiums, the original and the one you want to change to, right next to each other. This will help a lot. It avoids the need for pen and paper, and you can just take the information from one and then put it on the one right below or right above, depending on how it sorts it. Now you're just going to scroll over to the right and change those 4 things I mentioned earlier: the FLID, the STDR, the STYP, and the SUID. Now that you have that done, you go all the way to File, Save. Do not hit Save As, it has to be Save. Now it's crucial, absolutely crucial, that you get these next few steps done in the exact order that I detail, because I did them in the wrong order once before and it completely ruined my entire thing, made it so that I couldn't mod the data anymore. The PlayStation wouldn't take it. This thing wouldn't allow me to edit it anymore. So it's very crucial that if you want to save any of this, you do this in the proper step order. If you're in Dynasty, if you did the Dynasty, you won't really have to worry about this because you don't have to worry about the .mc02s. What you're going to do first is you're going to want to take off the .mc02. This must be the first thing you do. Don't worry about this next pop-up, just hit yes. Now, after you have taken off the .mc02, go back to brute force, click on the file so that you get all that blue text there, and hit the green button on the right. It should say encrypt PFD. It's going to give you three options: encrypt decrypted files and encrypt all files, and then the bottom one you just don't want to care about at all. The top one, that can work. I've always just hit encrypt all files and that's worked perfectly fine for me. After this, you can exit out of everything, unplug your flash drive, and transfer the data over to your PlayStation. If you did this on Xbox, you'll have to do Modio. There are other videos to show you how to get set up properly with Modio for the Xbox stuff. For PlayStation, just plug it in, copy the data over, and you will be A-OK. An important thing to note is that this will not change the base team stuff like for an exhibition game, just pickup game. This will not work. You still can't play it. This is only able to be done with the Dynasty. So the new stadium will become the new stadium for the team. For a Dynasty, for an exhibition game, no. And that's all that is. Also, you may have seen it earlier where I gave FCS teams stadiums. Do not do that. I tried to make it so that there would be some extra neutral site games, but 9 times out of 10, whenever I tried to load up one of those games after putting it on my schedule, it completely freezed. Simulation, it was perfectly fine, but when I tried to actually load up the game, the PlayStation just couldn't handle it and it completely froze. And that's all I have for you today. I would very much appreciate it if you guys left a like, and if you could subscribe as well, that would be awesome. Have a nice day, and I'll leave you with some more game footage.